If it were about drugs, we'd bomb Mexico or China or Colombia, and the president would not have pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez. This is about oil and regime change. If it were about drugs, we'd bomb Mexico or China.
So Thomas Massie there, Republican, of course, talking about thinks that he doesn't agree with it. And if you had Thomas Massie disagreeing with something that the Republican president was going to do on your bingo card, you got to check that off almost on day one in 2026. Let's get our guest, our friend Ryan Schmelz, on here with us. Fox News Radio Capitol Hill and White House correspondent Ryan Schmelz, Fox on X. Ryan, welcome back. Happy New Year to you. I hope you had a wonderful break. I hope you had a break. It's good to have you back.
Happy New Year, Annie. How are you?
Doing okay. So, there's a lot of questions that normally we would have here in this conversation regarding budgeting, because we know that's going to be a huge issue here in this very moment. But also, there are Democrats who are supporting President Trump and his move to go get Maduro, arrest him, and bring him to the United States. And there are Republicans who don't. What kind of political fallout is happening on Capitol Hill based on what took place this weekend?
Yeah, I would say the way that you look at it is that it's a political fallout that includes what you'd expect it to be. Mostly Republicans are backing President Trump. Mostly Democrats are opposing what President Trump did. But then you also have some stragglers on each side of the aisle who have different opinions that are kind of aligned with the opposite of what their party thinks. So you've got the Republicans like Thomas Massie. You've got the Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, by the way, today is her last day in Congress. And then you've also got some others like Rand Paul who are criticizing the move. But you've got some Democrats like John Fetterman and some others who have been a little bit more open-minded about removing Maduro and supporting the removal of Nicolas Maduro. And if you want to add an Illinois tie in there, you've got Adam Kinzinger from Illinois, a former Republican member of Congress, fierce Trump critic who voted to impeach President Trump. He has praised the move. So there certainly is a little bit of a mixed bag here and there about the reaction to this.
The pride of the land of Lincoln, Adam Kinzinger. I just lost half my audience. Just kidding. Ryan, I wanted to ask you about this Senator Mark Kelly situation. Of course, he was, what was the phrase for the Seditious Six?
Seditious Six.
Seditious Six. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has moved to censure Senator Mark Kelly. So he's taking this video that Senator Kelly put out very seriously. Can you talk to us a little bit about that development and what that would mean for the senator?
Right. So my understanding is that there would be things like Mark Kelly's pension that would be targeted, where he could have that revoked. There's a couple other aspects of this alleged censure coming from Pete Hegseth that would be involved in this too. I haven't really been able to read through the extent of what the punishment ultimately would be, but Kelly has responded to it, said that this is a tactic of intimidation by the White House and specifically the Pentagon. And this has been the back and forth you've seen from these two sides really ever since that video was released by Senator Kelly, Senator Slotkin, and a couple other members of Congress who had some type of ties to either the military or the intelligence community who are also Democrats. Now, the one thing I've been telling people that's very interesting about this that stands out to me is one of the big issues Democrats have had this Congress ever since President Trump got back into office is really just getting attention because, they're competing with President Trump for news time. Then they're in the minority, so Republicans drive legislation in Congress. They eat up a lot of the news time, too. So a lot of the attention's kind of put on those three different parties right there. So Democrats are having issues in terms of standing out, especially if you're not going to go out and say things that are outright controversial and news grabbing. So moderate Democrats like Slotkin, Kelly, some of the other Democrats that were in that video are kind of struggling to get their messages out there and to stand out. Well, this video kind of took the attention off of the progressives like AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and it put the attention on Mark Kelly and Alyssa Slotkin and some others. So now they're kind of the face of the opposition to President Trump and the Pentagon right now, which, if you're a moderate Democrat, some might like that. So there may have been some type of silver lining. Now, we could debate all day whether or not the video was the right thing to do or not, but that is one thing that kind of has stood out about this in terms of the politics.
And it's very interesting. We're speaking with Ryan Schmelz, Fox News Radio Capitol Hill and White House correspondent. Let's get to the business of Congress. There is a Fox News headline right now from Elizabeth Elkin and Alex Miller. Congress rolls out $174 billion spending bill as January 30th. Shutdown fears grow. First day back after the holiday season, and we are fearing the shutdown. Can you tell us a little bit about this spending bill?
Right. So this is what they call a minibus. It is 3 of the 12. I almost held up 2 there. That would have been fun. There are 3 of the 12 appropriations bills. This one funds like the Department of Commerce. It's not really a lot of the divisive aspects of the government, but it is 3 of the 12. So if they're able to pass this, then that would pretty much alleviate some of the impacts of a government shutdown when we get to the end of January. The goal is to get 12 of them done. 3 have already been signed into law. That was a part of the most recent government shutdown. The package that reopened the government included those 3 appropriations bills. So SNAP benefits got funded. The Department of Veterans Affairs got funded, and they'll be funded all the way through the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of September. This next one looks like it's on track for passage. Speaker Johnson has already given it the green light, said it's going to go onto the floor. The top Democrat on the House Appropriations Committee has given it the green light and her support. So if you have those parties involved saying yes to this, it looks like it's on track for passage. So that would mean 6 appropriations bills are now done. They would have 6 more to go.
Ryan, you just mentioned how Democrats are having trouble getting attention in this news cycle, but that was one way that they got a lot of attention, was by holding up the government. However, they may have lost that battle too. So is that something that they're looking at, strategically? Hey, maybe we can get some demands here. Maybe we can get some more attention if we hold up government spending or hold up the budget?
I mean, we'll see. It doesn't look like it's going to be the case with this one, but this exactly isn't. I mean, this really isn't too much of a partisan bill. I think the ones you got to watch for is obviously the defense appropriations bills, but when they talk about things like HUD, funding the Department of Transportation, funding some of the agencies that are included with healthcare. That's when you're probably going to get into some of the more partisan issues, especially when you talk about HHS and what goes into that and some of the policies involved with RFK and some of the other cabinet officials related to the Health and Human Services Department. That's when things could get a little testy, but it looks like this one is getting through without any issues. And like we said before, the more appropriations bills they pass, the less of an impact the next government shutdown could be if they have that. So far, it doesn't look like that's the case. But of course, the closer we get to January 30th, you can expect maybe something else to come up.
We're speaking with Ryan Schmelz, Fox News Radio Capitol Hill and White House correspondent. You mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've got a comment here from listener. Says, question for Mr. Schmelz, who will replace Representative Greene? Can you talk to us about the process to replace her and the timeline on that? And also, where is the balance of power as it sits once she's gone after today?
Right. So the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, is going to call a special election. The idea is he's probably going to do it as soon as possible because he wants to have it as quickly as possible. I don't know the specifics on how many months they would have to wait to have that special election, but it would not be immediate. So I would expect Republicans to go without filling her seat throughout the month of January, throughout the month of February, possibly. So this is going to be dragged out for a little bit. And that's just the reality of special elections. When you replace a senator, the governor can simply appoint somebody to fill that seat until they have a special election, or they can stay there for the rest of the term. That's not the case when you talk about members of Congress. So this seat pretty much remains vacant until somebody can win it through a special election. It's a safe red seat, so it's likely to be a Republican. And of course, President Trump's endorsement will probably matter a lot too, with whoever that replacement is.
Ryan, I saw immediately after they got Maduro that people were already commenting, oh, here we go. I'm sure a part of this spending bill will be funding for Venezuela. Is that being tossed around at all on Capitol Hill?
No, I haven't seen anything like that. Most of the cost that we've seen associated with Venezuela is going to be related to the oil infrastructure. And President Trump has said that is going to be paid for by oil companies privately, and they're going to handle all of that, is what it looks like. So if there's any, rebuilding for Venezuela, it's going to be involved here. It doesn't look like there are any plans to do that. Keep in mind the Trump administration allowed for the vice president to be sworn in and take power, and it didn't seem like President Trump was going to be advocating for the opposition leader who won the Nobel Peace Prize to be the replacement. And it looks like right now the Trump administration's working directly with Venezuela's new president, who was handpicked by Maduro. But at the same time, we're talking about Syria being closer to peace and stability than it's ever been before. And that country is being led by somebody who was once associated with Al Qaeda. So, is the Trump administration able to make this work? Maybe they can. It seems like that's the path they're going with, though it seems like they are demanding cooperation from Venezuela's new president.
Ryan Schmelz, excuse me, speaking with us right now. Last question before we let you go here. Just give us a little bit of a rundown of key important dates. That January 30th is the deadline for the spending bill to get done before we're looking at another shutdown, as I understand it. Are there any other key dates that you think that voters, taxpayers should be looking to right now as to what's to come?
I mean, this is a key date right now because Marjorie Taylor Greene is officially resigning from Congress, thus making the GOP House majority, which is already very slim, even slimmer. I believe they can only afford to lose really one vote on any given key piece of legislation. So this is going to be a major headache trying to get anything done along party lines for House Speaker Mike Johnson in the meantime. That's one date to watch out for. I mean, one of the key dates has already passed, which was the New Year date, because that's when the Affordable Care Act tax credits expired, and so now they are expired without a deal on the table. So we'll see how that kind of plays out for the primaries that are coming up and ultimately the midterms that are happening in November.
Well, we will stay abreast of all of those developments, and we're always grateful when you are joining us to keep us rooted in the facts of the matter, especially with how quickly things move on Capitol Hill. Ryan Schmelz, you're always wonderful to have on the show. Thanks for being with us again. Happy New Year.